Hello, this is Mrs. Wong here. In this video, we'll be looking at the MYE Paper 2, question number 8. So, the table shows the nutrition contents of 3 dishes sold in a food court. So, we do have the calorie, fat, and carbohydrate, and the serving size. Matrix A shows the nutrition contents of the 3 dishes. For A part 1, a family orders 2 chicken rice, 4 roti prata, and 1 hot Korean ramen. And we need to represent the quantities in a 1/3 row matrix P. So this actually tests your understanding, of a row matrix. So for row matrix, it would look like this: 2 chicken rice, 4 roti prata, 1 hot ramen. Okay, so this is a row matrix. Now, if they do ask for a column matrix, then it would look different. Okay, so this is if it's a column matrix. This is a row matrix. Let's go on to part 2. Part 2 wants us to evaluate the matrix C, where C is equals to P times A. So you can first write out, the 2 matrices, and just before you do your multiplication, do make sure that the multiplication actually makes sense. So if I were to do the first step of the multiplication, I will need to take 2 multiplied by 620 and add 4 multiplied by 123. Then I need to take 1 multiplied by 530. So this, you have to check that it actually makes sense. So let's see. So if I have 2 chicken rice multiplied by 620, that's actually the calories, total calories from the chicken rice. 4 roti prata multiplied by 123 is actually the calorie intake from 4 roti prata. Then 1 hot Korean ramen, that's the calorie intake from there. So if I were to actually add them up, it would also make sense, which would be the total calorie intake that the family took after eating this meal. So do check that the multiplication actually makes sense. This will also help you to check whether your answer in part 1 is correct. So we'll go on to do the matrix multiplication. So the first step, we will have 2, 2, 6, 2. So once I'm done with this, I will actually go on to the next set of working. So I need to take this now. Do my multiplication, I add them up. So as I go on, to the second column in the second matrix, I will actually move on as well. So my answer, I go on to the second column. So if I were to go on now to the third column, so my answer, go on to the third column. So I actually have a 1/3 matrix. Do also check that your matrix multiplication makes sense. So if I have a 1/3 matrix multiplied by a 3/3 matrix, these 2 values have to be equal for it to be workable, and my resultant matrix should be a 1/3 matrix. So this actually corresponds. We will go on to the next part. Part 3 wants us to state the total amount of fat based on the dishes in the family's order. So actually our matrix C will give us the answer. So the first one is the calories. The second value is for the total number of fat. So our answer for this will simply be 78 grams. Let's go on to part B. So matrix B is given below, and they want us to evaluate matrix M equals to B multiplied by A. So let's write out the matrices. So writing the 2 matrices out, being very careful with all the values. Then we need to do our matrix multiplication now. So as we do our matrix multiplication, let's also try and make sense of what the multiplication actually means. So if we were to first start off, I have to take the the first row, okay, multiplied by the first column, okay, to actually give me the first row, first column's value in the matrix M. Okay, so if we look at this, I'm actually taking 100 out of 300 multiplied by 620. The other two values actually doesn't matter anymore. Okay, so if we were to look at this, okay, 620 is the amount of calorie from chicken rice. Okay, so if we were to go back to the table, okay, we see that the serving size of chicken rice is actually 300. Okay, and we are taking 100 of it as only. Okay, similar to the other values, okay, in matrix B, I have 40, 140. Okay, over here. Okay, so the serving size are actually here. Okay, and I only want 100 of it. So I'm suspecting that we are actually, taking 100 gram of it. Okay, to kind of compare later on. Okay, so let's do the matrix multiplication. And we have this. Okay, so after doing the matrix multiplication, this will be our answer. Okay, so each of it, okay, what they actually mean. Okay, so the first value here, okay, so 207 is actually the amount of calorie from 100 gram of chicken rice. Okay, and then if you were to go on, okay, the next one, 7.67, is the amount of fats from 100 grams of chicken rice. Okay, and 24 is actually the amount of carbohydrate, okay, from 100 grams of chicken rice. Okay, and then the second row will actually be the calorie, fat, and carbohydrate from roti prata, and it's 100 grams of roti prata. Okay, so I'm going to write here. This is for chicken rice, for prata, and the last item, okay, would be for your Korean ramen. Okay, this will help us to answer the next part, where we have to state what the elements of matrix M represent. Okay, so we will write the answer in. Okay, so we do have to state out explicitly calorie, fat, and carbohydrate for 100 grams. Okay, it's very important that it's 100 grams because initially when we have the information in matrix A, it was for different serving sizes. Okay, so each of the serving sizes are actually different. So now we have changed it to 100 grams. Okay, then we can compare across chicken rice, roti prata, and hot Korean ramen. Okay, let's go on to the next part. So for part C, okay, the cost price of ingredients are actually given for each day, and the selling price are also given. Okay, and on a particular day, the amount of chicken rice, roti prata, and hot Korean ramen being sold, and we need to find the dish that made the highest amount of profits on this particular day. Okay, so if I want to talk about profits, of course I have to take the amount, the earnings for that day, okay, minus off the cost of the ingredients. Okay, so it will be something like that. So I will do that for each of chicken rice, roti prata, and hot Korean ramen, so that I can actually compare to find the dish that made the highest amount of profits. Okay, so if you were to calculate out the profit of each of the dishes, okay, so the dish that actually made the highest amount of profit would actually be your roti prata. So this will be it for question 8.